solving a basic word problem here. I'm going to put 6 over 1 because to make 6 a fraction, you have to put it over 1 times 3 over 4, 18 over 4. 18 divided by 4, 4 times 4, 2, 5, 2.
And how do you know your answer makes sense?
He can make 4.5 pizzas because he's got 6 cups and 3/4 cup of flour for each pizza. So I just did a basic multiplication across to see the total number of pizza crust you can get. On this one, 2/3 times 1/4 and 2/3 divided by 4 over 1. So
Can you read what the problem is?
yeah, it says, and Gorsuch is the problem. How are 2/3, 1/4, and 2/3 divided by 4 similar or different? Use the picture to explain your answer. They're similar in that multiplication and division are complementary mathematical calculations. So if I do 2/3 times 1/4, 2/3 times 1/4 straight across, 2 over 12 equals 1/6. If I do 2/3 divided by 4 over 1 is the same thing as 2/3 times 1 over 4. You get 2/12 equals 1/6. Now to draw a picture of that, I'm just going to draw a picture of your mom. There you go. Divide 4 and 1/2.
How does that? Wait, can
I
you
made the
explain to me?
I made the equations congruent, similar. Pictorially, I don't know. If you do divide by 3, color in 2, make a picture of
Which picture
4.
is that for?
This is 2/3.
Okay.
4, 1/4. See, there's not enough space on here.
You can go to the back.
This is an inadequately designed assignment because there's, say,
There's some
for
more
differentiation.
Space. There's some space for you for your differentiation needs. Your differentiation needs.
To multiply those, that's 2/3. 1/4.
How is that 1/4? Because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'm coloring in that one. And
Which does that represent the multiplication or the division?
the multiplication. See, okay. Is she this way with you guys?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm moving on to this one because I'll be honest, representing this pictorially is not something I was ever asked to do, which is why it's important that your kids learn to do it, because I was never, ever taught graphically. I was only taught the operations.
Question though, have you ever eaten a pizza?
No. What is this pizza you speak
A
of?
pie? What if you drew 2/3 of a pizza?
Okay. So I'm going to divide this in thirds. I ate this much. Okay.
Okay, and so let's do the division or multiplication first.
Multiplication
Okay,
times. There's the 1/4.
and what does it equal?
Well, it's like 2 12s or 1 6.
You cannot.
What does this equal? Well, how do you multiply pictures? If I don't know it, you have to explain it.
Okay, well, it's the concept of when we multiply fractions. when we're multiplying fractions, we're not taking, when we multiply whole numbers, right? We have like 2 times 3. That'd be 2 groups of 3. When we multiply fractions, it's a different concept. It's taking a part of a part. So really what we're doing is we're saying, what is 1/4 of 2/3?
Okay.
Or, what is 2/3 of 1/4? So our final answer is going to be smaller. So if you draw this pizza here again, right? You have 2/3, and we're going to take 1/4 of it. So how would you take how would you find what 1/4 is of this?
I don't know.
Couldn't you divide it in fourths?
These two?
Yeah. I mean, I would have put it there like that, but that's good.
Like what? Okay.
Yeah. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So you divide it in fourths. So what would be 1/4 of 2/3?
Okay.
So if you circle 1/4. Now what's
Then you have, if I were to do 1, 2, 3, 4, would you do this then?
why would
5,
you
6.
Uh-huh.
You have 1/6. Right? Is
Does that
right?
make sense to you?
It does make sense to me now.
Why does it make sense to you?
Because we pictorially represented what 1/4 of 2/3 looks like by dividing the 2/3 we had graphically
And by what?
by 1/4.
Yeah, in fourths, right?
Yeah.
So when we're multiplying by a fourth, it's the same thing as dividing it by 4.
Right. Very
Which
good.
is what you're asked to do.
All right. Divide 4.5 divided by 3/8. All right. The way I was taught, I've got an improper fraction here, if that's what they're still called. 4 and 1/2. I do 9 halves times 8/3 because you invert and multiply fractions, correct? 72, 6, 9.
And how do you
No.
know that answer is right?
No, that's not right. 12.
And how do you know that that's...
I do not know how I know that's right. I know it's right because that's how I was taught, simply to do the numbers. Would you show me how I would know that that's right?
Sure. Well, there are multiple ways you could check and see if it's right. One way you could do is check with your calculator, but that you also don't necessarily know that that's right. So can you draw for me 4.5? Like maybe with fraction bars. Like use squares as fraction bars.
Never used fraction bars before.
Okay, so
if I was going to do this,
okay, so what does that represent? One whole?
one whole.
Okay, so draw.
One. Okay, that's one whole. Can I go to the back? If I'm going to use individual ones, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 1/2.
Okay, so then we want to know, if we go like this, so this is 4.5 divided by 3/8. What this problem is asking is how many 3/8 are in 4.5?
So how many 3/8 are in here? So do I need to divide these into 8s? Is that correct?
Sure. Does that make sense to you?
It does.
Okay.
Do I need to divide each into 8s? So this is one whole.
Please sign or arrow next to it, like that. Sign, you know what I'm talking about. No. Okay. No, you don't have them, or you don't know what I'm talking about. I know what you're talking about. Okay.
These are equal. Okay. So now I've got each of my holes divided into 8s. And I'm going to...
Arrow.
No, yeah, you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, no, keep going.
No. So I need to, what am I trying to do here is multiply, I need to know how many 3/8 are in 4.5. All right. Well, there's 8. 8 times 4, 32. 3, 4, 35. There's 35 8s overall. Do I need to subtract 3 of them? Be 32 8s.
And what'd you get last time? 12.
12, right. So they're not the same. So walk me through it.
Okay, so you're saying 3/8, correct? So would you agree that this is 3/8 right here?
I would.
So that would be one group of 3/8, right? This would be 2 groups of 3/8.
And then this would be 3 groups of 3/8. This would be 4 groups of 3/8. This would be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. See, this is the problem with the graphics. A guy who draws like this, I get confused and lost in where my 3/8 were.
I saw that you checked on this to make sure that there were 8s in all. There were 8 in the whole. Did you do that for all of them?
What I did was went back and counted. I drew 6 lines to make 8, and drew 6 lines in each of these and 3 in this one.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Ah, that's the problem.
And then you can just walk it.
But sir, when you're doing that on a board and you try to use color in order to differentiate between the first ones and the second ones, be wary of her classroom because she puts regular markers on her dry erase board, and so then she gasps when you use the color. Speaking from experience.
So, if I were a math student, what I would do at this point is I would go 1 hole, 1 hole. And I had to do this a lot because my handwriting and ability to draw is so poor. See, and that's my problem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yes, he has.
Now, this is supposed to be half of 8, and so it'd be 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now you wanted me to do, here.
I was trying to be done before you got back.
Break them into 3/8. 1, 2, 3. 1. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 3.
I meant to
1,
pull
2,
that as a
3.
form and I flipped it first.
4. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I'm not borrowing.
5. 1, 2, 3. 6. 1, 2, 3. 7. 1, 2, 3. 8. 1, 2, 3. 9.
And I get that you probably don't care, but for me,
10.
and I do appreciate
1,
it.
2,
Because sometimes there's
3,
people that are
11,
sitting
1,
here
2,
just
3,
don't say anything to me.
1, 12. So my ability to draw and my speed in trying to get done
Just go through it.
made me incorrect up here, but when I redid it, I got the same answer as I did over here.
And that helps you know that it's right because
It's a double way of checking, right? There's always more than one way to check. That's why I like geometry better than algebra, because of all the proofs. I loved geometric proofs. In order to know, I mean, I was just taught how to do fractions. They never taught the this behind it. But taking this extra step makes me really understand what it looks like. So, thank you for excellent tutelage.
you're welcome.